Your beloved President Trump took children from their mothers and called it policy. He promised the Epstein files would be released. They never were. Trump lost 60 court cases and called it fraud. Americans had a word for all of it: leadership. 15 times over, they were wrong. These are documented decisions that hurt real Americans, broke real promises, and left damage no one can spin away. Not Trump's cabinet, not his lawyers, not his most loyal supporters. 1. Iran was in compliance. Every inspector confirmed it. The deal was working. Trump scrapped it anyway. That single decision handed Iran the perfect excuse to restart everything we had spent years stopping. Within 2 years, their uranium stockpiles exceeded the deal limits by 12 times. Not a little over, 12 times. Britain, France, Germany, every major ally begged Trump not to do this. These are not countries that oppose America lightly. They saw what was coming and said it directly. Trump ignored every single one of them. We did not get a better deal. We did not get a safer Middle East. We got an Iran closer to nuclear capability than it had been in a decade. That is not strength. That is not strategy. That is one man's ego making every American less safe and calling it leadership. And the worst part, he knew exactly what every ally was telling him. He just did not care. 2. Trump looked Americans in the eye and promised the Epstein files would be released. The client list, the flight logs, every powerful name connected to that network, he promised. Then he got into office. The files stayed sealed. Not delayed, not under review, sealed. The same names protected under the same silence that shielded them for decades. These are not political files. They are about children who were abused by powerful people who have never faced a single consequence. Trump had the power to change that. He chose not to. Some decisions reveal policy differences. This one reveals something else entirely. 3. Trump promised the tariff war would make China pay. China did not pay. We did. American farmers lost $27 billion in export markets overnight. China retaliated with surgical precision, targeting agricultural states that had voted for Trump. The people who believed in him most paid the heaviest price. And at the grocery store, every American felt it. Higher prices on everyday goods. Not because China absorbed the cost, because we did. Trump called it winning. Economists called it a self-inflicted wound. The farmers watching their livelihoods collapse while China bought their soybeans from Brazil had another word for it. We were promised a better deal. We got the bill instead. 4. Before you cut anything else, you do not cut the people who bled for this country. Trump did it anyway. DOJ slashed Veterans Affairs positions while veteran suicide rates were already at crisis levels. Waiting times increased immediately. Mental health services reduced for the people who need them most. Not foreign aid, not corporate subsidies. Veterans, men and women who left pieces of themselves in places most Americans will never see, who came home carrying wounds that never fully close, who were promised this country would be there when they needed it. Trump cut them first. If this is what America First looks like for the people who served America First, somebody needs to explain what that phrase actually means. 5. There is one room in America where secrets are supposed to die before they reach our enemies. Trump turned it into a briefing room for Russia. Top secret intelligence handed directly to Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, not accidentally, not through a leak, handed over in casual conversation while American officials stood there unable to stop it. An ally who trusted us with that intelligence pulled their asset out immediately. A real human being yanked from the field because one conversation put their life in danger. We were actively investigating Russian interference at the time, and our own president was sharing our secrets with them in the Oval Office, the most protected room in the world, used against us by the man sitting inside it. 6. Trump abandoned America's closest allies in Syria with a single phone call. 11,000 Kurdish soldiers had died fighting ISIS alongside our troops. Not for their agenda, for ours. On our promise that America stands by the people who stand beside it. That promise lasted until Turkey asked Trump to move. He moved. No warning, no plan, no acknowledgement of what the Kurds had sacrificed. They were left facing Turkish forces overnight, while American troops pulled back and watched. Republican generals condemned it. Democratic officials condemned it. In Washington, that kind of unanimous condemnation almost never happens. This earned it. Because when America abandons the people who bled for its word, Every ally on Earth takes notes. 7. Trump did not need to formally withdraw from NATO. He just needed to make America's enemies believe he might. For 4 years, he questioned whether America would defend its allies, publicly, repeatedly, in front of the entire world. The alliance that kept European peace for 75 years runs on one guarantee: attack one member and you fight all of them. Trump put that guarantee up for debate. Putin was not confused by the message. Former NATO officials confirmed it directly. Trump's statements influenced Putin's strategic timeline. The calculation that sent Russian tanks into Ukraine was made while Trump was busy undermining the alliance built specifically to prevent it. 75 years of peace held by certainty, broken by doubt. Trump did not fire a single shot. 8. Imagine walking down your own street and getting pulled into an unmarked van by men with no badges, no identification, and no explanation. That happened in America. Trump deployed unidentified federal agents onto American streets in Portland. No uniforms, no names, no accountability. Citizens grabbed and taken before anyone knew who was doing the taking. The governor was horrified. The mayor was horrified. The attorney general filed legal action immediately. Because Americans have a word for governments that make people disappear off streets without identification. We just never thought we would need that word here. This is the country that lectures the world about freedom. Trump turned its own streets into something we would condemn anywhere else. 9. A young woman went to Charlottesville to stand against hate. She did not come home. A man drove a car into a crowd of people and killed her. That man had marched alongside people carrying Nazi flags through an American city. Trump looked at all of it and called them very fine people. Not misled, not confused, very fine. White nationalist groups celebrated openly. They knew exactly what those words meant. Every living former president condemned it. Trump's own staff considered walking out, because some lines exist for a reason. My grandfather's generation died to draw that line. Trump crossed it with a microphone and 9 words. And every hate group in America felt the welcome mat go down. 10. This was not a rumor, not a misquote, not taken out of context. Trump stood at the White House podium in front of millions of Americans and suggested injecting disinfectant into the human body to kill COVID. Leave, on camera, to the entire nation. Poison control centers reported spikes in calls within 24 hours. Lysol and Dettol issued emergency public statements telling Americans not to inject their products. Companies that make cleaning supplies had to tell Americans not to drink them, because the President of the United States suggested it first. This was not a gaffe, not a stumble. He said it with confidence to a country that was scared, grieving, and desperately looking to its leader for answers. That was the answer they got. 11. The plan was simple. Build a wall, make Mexico pay for it. That was it. That was the whole policy. Mexico said no before the concrete was poured. Their president did not whisper it privately or send a diplomatic note. He said it publicly, repeatedly, and without apology. Trump built it anyway. With American money, pulled from military budgets meant to protect American troops, $15 billion quietly redirected while the rallies kept chanting the same promise that was already broken. No negotiation secured Mexican payment. No deal was ever close. The fundamental premise of the entire policy was wrong before construction started. 452 miles of wall, $0 from Mexico. A $1 trillion economy next door, and somehow the bill still landed on us. 12. Trump signed the travel ban without warning, without preparation, and without any plan for what happened next. What happened next was chaos. Airports across America descended into confusion overnight. Families separated at terminals. Legal residents with valid visas detained for hours. People who had followed every rule America set for them stopped at the gate like criminals. Federal courts blocked it within days. Not eventually, immediately. Because targeting people by religion is not border security. It is discrimination with a signature on it. The diplomatic damage across the Middle East set back relationships America had spent decades carefully building. We did not become safer. We became smaller. And the world noticed the difference. 13. Most presidents make a mistake and learn from it. Trump made the same one twice. He pulled America out of the Paris Climate Agreement in 2017. The entire world stayed in. We stood alone alongside Nicaragua and Syria. That is not leadership. That is isolation dressed as independence. Then he lost. Then he came back and did it again in 2025. Meanwhile, American farmers are watching seasons they cannot predict anymore. Coastal cities are spending billions holding back water that keeps coming anyway. Scientists have documented every cost in language that requires no translation. The evidence did not change between 2017 and 2025. Trump just refused to read it either time. Every nation on Earth looked at the same planet, made a different choice. 14. Over 5,000 families separated at the border under Trump's zero-tolerance policy. The United Nations called it a human rights violation. The world called it unforgivable. Hundreds of those children were never reunited. Not delayed, not complicated. Never. Those children are somewhere in America right now, growing up without the people who carried them across a desert, believing this country stood for something. Trump called it a deterrent, as if a mother watching her child being taken from her arms needed a stronger message. Some decisions cannot be explained away. This one should never be forgotten. 15. Trump lost the 2020 election, then lost 60 court cases confirming it, including before judges he personally appointed. His own picks reviewed the evidence and found nothing because there was nothing. But the fundraising never stopped. $250 million taken from Americans who trusted their president when he told them the election was stolen. People who emptied their pockets for a fight that was never winnable. Trump knew what every courtroom was telling him. He kept sending the emails anyway. This was never about democracy or election integrity. It was about a man who knew the truth and chose his supporters' wallets instead. Every decision in this video was made deliberately, from the most powerful office on earth, with the full weight of America behind it. Not one ally, not one lawyer, not one loyalist has defended a single one successfully. That is not opinion, that is the record. Hit like if this said what needed to be said. Subscribe because 15 is just where we started.